2024 is already behind us, but it is still far from being talked about. After talking about the best songs and best albums by male Seiyuu and 2D music projects released last year, it's time to cover the albums, or the CDs in general, let's say, that I feel were completely overlooked, yet they are awesome and deserve all your love and attention. Let's kick off this episode of Seiyuu Lounge. Welcome to Seiyuu Lounge. I am your host Vanessa, and today's topic is 7 albums or singles, let's say, that went under the radar in 2024. So, as much as I love to talk about the most impressive and buzzworthy CDs released every single year, I also love to talk about the hidden gems that very few people paid attention to in 2024 and that I was raving about for almost the full year. And there were plenty of awesome singles that ended up not performing well on the charts. Some didn't even enter Oricon Top 50, others struggled for visibility since the start, but the quality was there, just not the love. These are the 7 albums and singles that went under the radar in 2024, according to me. Brave Child with Himitsu. I'm not going to sugarcoat these. Brave Child's Himitsu is one of the best CDs released in 2024, hands down. And yes, I know what you are thinking, but this CD didn't sell that well, or the Dear Vocalist franchise is not that really popular among international fans. But I'll counterpoint, the quality in this release, especially for a franchise that made its comeback after a full year of radio silence and a big change of its main scenario writer, is off the charts. Brave Child's CDs have always been sweet, filled with ballads and gentle pop tunes. These reflect Joshua's gentle demeanor and at times a slightly delicate demeanor as well. However, as the series progressed and character development took over, this is something that I love about the Dear Vocalist franchise, Joshua started to become bolder in his sound. That resulted in Himitsu, one of the sexiest CD releases by a 2D group or band in 2024. The title track stands out for its groovy, melodic and intimate sound that showcases a fresh, sexy side of the band while still maintaining their signature charm. Kazi Hikaru, the closing song, is a groovy pop rock tune that aligns more with the band's usual style, but still brings a fresh energy to it. You can feel the evolution, growth, and character development in this CD. Honestly, I don't know how there are barely any people raving about this CD. It was easily one of the best CDs released in 2024. Hound Roar with Fragile. There are beautiful songs, and then there is this song, transcending all of that. In Fragile, Hound Roar stepped away from their usual sound, their playful yet slightly alluring brand of acid jazz, and went all in for a beautiful performance with delicate strings, a melancholic piano melody, and warm, jazzy undertones. The chorus impresses with its blend of acoustic guitars, legato strings, and a stylish piano improvisation, creating a mesmerizing soundscape. This is a song that, while it sounds like something Hound Roar would release, at the same time it sounds nothing alike what they would release. It's really that refreshing. This change of tone and vibe for Hound Roar was one of the biggest surprises in 2024, at least for me. I was expecting something and I got quite the opposite. Not that I'm complaining because I loved this single. So yeah, the only problem here is that the single didn't get enough love and recognition that I feel it deserved. Makoto Furukawa with Kaleidoscope. I have mixed feelings about this single. In one way, I was incredibly excited about new music from Makoto Furukawa. He's easily one of my favorite singers among male Seiyuu. And better yet, he brought a conceptual release. On the other hand, this was one of the oddest releases in his repertoire, honestly. I'm only talking about the regular version in this release that includes the songs Under the Seasons of Spring and Winter. So it was unusual to have contrasting seasons in a release dropping in the summer and not have a summer-themed song in the regular release, which was only available in another version of this single. So aside from that, the title track Kaleidoscope ended up being solid, albeit too safe and generic even when it came to its sweet, hopeful pop sound that basically any other male seiyuu out there actually does. Margaret no Chimoku embodied winter with its deep, broody indie rock sound, though Furukawa's dry, bassy vocals felt overshadowed by the instrumental, so the mixing was a bit weird as well. It was a solid song, easily the best one in this regular version of the CD, but still a far cry from the quality of previous singles and EPs. Now, knowing that this is music by Makoto Furukawa, you can expect high-quality performances, overflowing with power and emotion. So this is a big reason why I brought this single here. Kaleidoscope sounds nothing alike what Furukawa would release or released in the past, but I feel that this is actually a big reason why the single didn't perform as well when it came to the sales or even the attention of previous singles, but there is something there in terms of an evolution that is worth checking out. At least the consistency on the vocal end and the confidence as a performer. So I feel that you should at least check this one out because not only it is a conceptual single, but Makoto Furukawa is actually performing really well. Grey Ship with Grey Ship Episode 2. While these didn't have the impact that the first EP had, Grey Ship Episode 2 was still a jolly good fun to listen to. Yes, the franchise welcomed new members to each group. These, of course, complicated things slightly and, in my opinion, created astounding vocal lineups that ended up poorly used. Bad Skunk is known for its powerful, dark, gritty, and dirty sound. Their debut song was a banger. However, with a stellar lineup right now, the group came up surprisingly short in terms of the quality of the instrumental, as well as how they utilized each voice, because first, the instrumental was too crazy and unpredictable, even by my standards, and I listen to psychedelic music, so that's crazy as it is. And when it came to the vocals, they were underused when they had an amazing vocal lineup at their disposal. On the other hand, Goat stole the show yet again with an impressive jazz pop tune in Guilty Baby, one of the most exciting and addictive songs in 2024, and they worked really well with their extended vocal lineup, sounding like they were doing that since the very start. I find that the Grey Ship franchise is quite awesome, and they are doing different things on the vocal end that I really enjoy. This may not have been the stellar release that Episode 1 was, but hell if it wasn't fun. The only thing missing, I feel it is more consistency and more love for this release. Rika Sera with Bewitch. There is something about Rika's solo songs in the Tsuki Pro franchise that always get me. The beautiful, the sheer gentleness and grandiose sound always gets me. Bewitch created a dreamy, endless soundscape that instantly grabbed my attention. Just from that intro alone, I was already drawing parallels with Lily, song released a couple of years ago. But when that chorus kicks in and the piano keys are urgent and breathless, almost as if they are searching for something, I knew it had the makings of Lily, or it was almost like its spiritual successor, a massive upgrade or even a new chapter to that beautiful song. Bewitch, however, is much more mature, dramatic and focused as a concept and a sound much more contained. As a song included in the Anokoru CD series, fully focused on revisiting their past selves and basically looking into their present and future, you can see how much Rika grew, how John-san, the awesome composer behind this song, grew, as well as how much Natsuki Hanae improved as a performer, especially when it comes to his emotional range. Bewitch certainly made an impact within the Tsuki Pro fandom, but I would have loved for more people to discover this song and the beautiful, emotional ride it takes you on. Illuvista with Your Side. The Versus Ambivalence franchise has been making waves in the past couple of years. Cranv has been consistently good, but there was a demand for the members who didn't make it to the main group to have some type of activities. Turns out the franchise decided to bring the 7 members who didn't make the cut and split them into 2 different groups that debuted in the summer. One such group is Illuvista, group which, in my opinion, deserved much more love taking into account how downright amazing their debut song, Your Side, is. Illuvista's Your Side is a dreamy, down-tempo, synth-driven track that feels like a warm hug from start to finish. This is a sweet, romantic song featuring on vocals Chiaki Kobayashi, Shintaro Asanuma, and Makoto Furukawa. Honestly, you couldn't get a better lineup for such a small group featuring the members who didn't make the cut into Krampf. Its atmospheric synths, gentle hi-hat and bass drum rhythm, and funk-infused guitar riffs create a cozy, immersive soundscape, and this is a winner for me. Also, its romantic down-tempo vibe was a refreshing change of pace, delivering one of the sweetest 2D pop performances of 2024. Your Side is both heartwarming and memorable, a true earworm that leaves a lasting impression and that deserved much, much more love and fanfare than it got. Kokieto with Habatakeru Hikari. And wrapping up this episode, we have a fan favorite among Skip Row fans, although a song that went under the radar for most people, especially those not following Shunichi Toki's career and the Skip Row franchise. This is one of the most cinematic songs in the franchise, and especially in the Ano Koru CD series. It takes you to a relaxing soundscape in the wilds, in which there is a bamboo flute leading the way and birds chirping in the background. You're one with the forest. In a way, this song feels meditational, something I was not expecting from any member of Growth, given how intense and dramatic their songs usually are. I can't stop raving about Shunichi Toki's emotional range and control in this performance. He brought a gentleness to this performance, slowly lullabying the listener in the verses before taking you on an ethereal journey with his beautiful vocals in the chorus. It's one of those beautiful performances that no matter how much I describe it to you, you will never fully grasp how beautiful and unbelievable it is. Kokieto's Habatakeru Hikari is a mesmerizing and ethereal conclusion to the Ano Koru no Bokura wa CD series, wrapping it up with a technical performance that will even render you to tears. This is an amazing way to sign off one of the coolest CD series in the Tsukipro franchise. These are just some out of the various CDs I loved in 2024, and I still have many left to review. And I feel that these, unfortunately, the CDs that I featured in this episode, either because the projects are not well known, or the Seiyuu are not well known, or people don't want to jump into a franchise that is already many years old and has dozens and dozens of CDs. Basically, these didn't end up becoming or being that popular in 2024, which is a pity. Because they had the quality, and they had the variety, and they had the innovative ideas. And I feel that sometimes people are too safe in their choices when they are listening to music and only listen to the very same artists over and over again instead of trying new music and to discover new Seiyuu or discovering different sides to Seiyuu that perhaps they may not even like, for example, and may even fall in love with artists that they thought they wouldn't. So I feel that there is that problem with people being too safe in their choices when it comes to listening to music. They don't want to jump into new projects because they feel they need to dive into everything in the project, which they don't. Unless the project is too focused on character development, like the Dear Vocalist franchise. In that case, you actually need to dive into, I should say, to have a full grasp of the quality of the music and the evolution and everything else in the growth of the characters. Actually, you need to dive into the previous releases. But for most 2D music franchises, you can jump right away, pick one CD up, even the most recent one, and you can enjoy the music for itself. You don't need to actually dive full-on into the music or the full-on franchise to actually enjoy the music. Don't do that to yourself. Basically, putting yourself outside of franchises that actually are worth your time, especially because you don't need to actually dive into the franchises themselves, you need to dive into the music. I will tell you that most of the franchises that I talk about, I don't know the lore of most of them. Unless it is the ones that I follow closely, almost religiously, most of those I enjoy the music, but I don't follow the lore whatsoever, and I still enjoy the music. So it is possible for you to enjoy the music without having to feel like you need to dive into a massive commitment of, oh, the THTFHQ franchise is 10 years old, that's a lot of music to dive into. Or the Idolish 7 franchise is 10 years old as well, yeah, no, I need to dive into a lot of music and I don't want that. Don't do that to yourself. Just check the CDs if you feel curious about it and enjoy. Some of these CDs, of course, that I talked in this episode went under the radar. I feel that either they went under the radar because the franchises are not really that popular, or the CDs tried new things and failed at accomplishing those, although the ideas were interesting, or the vocals were a bit weird, or the mixing actually messed up things, like, for example, in the case for Makoto Furukawa. So I feel that these CDs deserve a second chance, and I feel that those are just, yet again, a small sample of all the music that deserved more love in 2024, and I feel that now that we are starting 2025, it is a good time for you to actually dive into these CDs that you may have missed, in case you did, and give them a chance because they are really, really good and have their awesome things going on. So yeah. Now, enough about what I think about these CDs, because I've talked plenty about them and I wrote plenty about them on the website for the reviews of each of these CDs, and let me tell you, I still have a lot of CDs to review when I have the free time to do so. I'm trying to find some free time to do so. It's been a bit intense this start of the year, but yeah. Now tell me, which albums or singles released by male Seiyuu or 2D groups in 2024 do you feel were underrated and why? Which would you recommend everyone to check? Let me know in the comments on YouTube. And remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of Seiyuu Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Hand That Feeds HQ's weekly male Seiyuu and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. Leaving a review is really simple and helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male Seiyuu artists and 2D groups. I'll return next week with another episode of Seiyuu Lounge. Thank you for listening and see you guys around.